Hey everyone, and welcome to the Millennial Motivation Podcast with me, James Hackney. Let's get inspired and let's get motivated. Welcome everyone, James Hackney here, and this is the first episode of the Millennial Motivation Podcast. Delighted to have you here listening to the very first podcast, so thank you for tuning in. I'd like to start by sharing a powerful story that I feel is really going to resonate with you, and I am assuming you are tuning into this show as you are a millennial and you want to be motivated and you want to be inspired. So I'm going to start by sharing a powerful story. Now, out of all the podcasts that I will do, this one is going to be a little more about me than normal. So bear with me, because as we transition into the rest of the shows, you are going to see real quick that this is all about you, how to stay inspired, motivated, and having a passion and a purpose for your life. Not just for the future, but for today and for the very minute you are living right now, right in this present moment. All for the greatest generation, us millennials. So who is James Hackney? Well, I'm a 25-year-old millennial who is a lover of football, or as the Americans call it, soccer. Good beer, I'm a foodie, I love running, I love spending time with my family, as well as travelling the world, seeing new places and experiencing different cultures. Born and live in a small city in England called Stoke-on-Trent, which is really just known for those who haven't probably heard of it, for the pottery industry and Robbie Williams, along with a few famous darts players, and probably the most famous darts player of all, Phil Taylor, which just shows at what an athletic city we are, as our most famous sportsmen spend the time in the pub. So my story starts when I was around about 6 years of age. My dad had just suffered from a brain hemorrhage, and I don't really remember too much about what happened due to being such a young age. What I do remember is witnessing my mum actually take the phone call saying what had happened and seeing how upset she went and the shock on her face. Now, he spent 2 to 3 weeks in intensive care where I wasn't able to see him. But the first time I saw him, I remember walking in and seeing my dad surrounded by monitors and tubes, and I wasn't allowed to go to the left side of his head due to the operation that he'd had of a metal plate being put in there. I didn't really recognise him at all with how ill he was, and I didn't really think he recognised me. Thankfully, he made a good recovery, but it took months and years of rehab for him to finally get back to kind of who he was before. Now, soon after, my mum and dad got divorced, and there was a lot of arguing, a lot of chaos, which lasted around about 7 to 8 years. Being told one thing by one parent, one thing by the other, and both stories colliding, knowing what to believe. I did live, though, the majority of my time with my mum, who did an amazing job bringing me up as a single parent, keeping me on the straight and narrow. It was tough. I do always remember we never had money at all, but she always made sure we had a roof over our head and food in the fridge. Now, I then left school at the age of 15. I decided to go down the path of becoming a gas engineer, which I wasn't too sure about because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know my passion, which then I was made redundant from 3 years later. But by the time I was 23, I had been made redundant twice from 2 large companies, and I'd just been made redundant. I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to kind of consider how else can I make money or make a living without a job. Because if I was old and I had a family, or if I had a family, if I had a house, if I had bills to pay, what would I do without a job? And I just didn't feel like a job could offer me that security that I needed. A couple of years later, I then bought my first house with my then partner in September 2017. It was a beautiful new build, great garden, 3-bedroomed, amazing living room in a fantastic village and a great location, really accessible to all the major kind of cities in England. And we bought it in the June 2017 and moved in September 2017. Only for 2 weeks later, me having to end the relationship after finding out she was seeing someone else and that she had loved someone months before us even buying the property. The house went up for sale straight away, and I lived there during the selling process. Now, during this period of time, during the selling process, I then signed up to raise £3,500 for cancer research, climbing Machu Picchu in Peru. Now, unfortunately, what happened over the next few months is a number of family bereavements. So my stepdad's dad passed away from cancer. My nan then passed away from cancer on the 24th of December after being diagnosed only 12 days before. We watched her pass away on Christmas Eve in her bed at her home, and the pain and the anguish that my family was going through is something that I'll never forget. Then a few months later, My auntie lost her battle with cancer in the April, and once again seeing the pain that my family went through and the anguish is something that I'll never forget. So you're probably sat there thinking now, wow, this guy's really depressing. How is this guy going to motivate me to want more when he's just telling me all negative stories? Well, what if I was to tell you that I was able to go from that point where I was, of them 10 and 12 days, to travelling the world 7 months later, solo, for 6 or 7 months? What if I was to tell you that I was able to build a mindset from a light bulb moment that I had while sat in that deep kind of depressive state, to altering my mindset to be able to build my confidence, build my self-belief, build a passion and desire for life, to live in each day to its fullest. My mindset change came about from sitting in the home in this state and thinking to myself, I wonder what my auntie and what my nan were thinking on their deathbed. What were they remembering? What would they want to be remembered for? And I had read a couple of years ago in a book about kind of how you want to be remembered when you're gone. And then I decided to think, well, how do I want to be remembered when I'm gone? Do I want to be remembered in this state? So I started to list out kind of how I wanted to be remembered, and how I was expressing myself. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be confident. I wanted to be a people person. I wanted to help my family. I wanted to help other people. I wanted to be this positive, inspirational person. Was nowhere near how I was feeling in this situation. So I knew then that I had to change how I felt. I had to change how I conducted myself. And that was all about changing my mindset. And changing the thoughts I was thinking. So I set upon a journey, embarked on this journey to change how I was feeling, how my mindset was working, and doing a complete 360 from going from a depressed, broken emotionally millennial with the wrong mindset to implementing routines, implementing habits, and changing the way I lived and the way I thought, to then be able to 6-7 months later travel the world and be able to live life to its fullest in every day. Now anyone can do this. You can do this. It's all about implementing changes, habits and routines into your life, which are different from the average millennial, different from waking up in the morning. First thing you do is check social media, then watch TV, then go to work and complain about work, and then coming home, checking social media, eating crap food, watching TV, then going to bed, and then doing that on that cycle. It's all about breaking that cycle. I want to help you guys build a millennial mindset that you love. I want you to wake up in the morning to look forward to feeling alive and living your life with energy and passion. I want this podcast to be what motivates you, because you can do this. You can change your mindset no matter what situation you are in at the moment in time. You can change your mindset, as you are the only person who is in control of your mindset. And I want this initial podcast to be your light bulb moment, like mine, no matter what the situation you are in currently. Because the situation you're in currently doesn't have to be the situation of your life, because how you live today is how you live your life, and you can choose that. You can change the situation you are in now, and it's all down to your mindset, no one else's mindset. And this is what these podcasts are going to be about. They're going to be about how you can build that mindset, the confidence, the self-esteem, the desire, the self-belief, to really take your mindset to the next level. Now I'm going to end the first podcast here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, the next podcasts are all going to be about you. So thanks for listening to my story, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next podcast. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Millennial Motivation Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you could head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show, as well as leave us a rating, that would be amazing. And if you have any questions, head over to Instagram at Millennial Motivation Podcast and drop me a DM.